Good afternoon or good morning. In Colorado, it's still good morning. Thank you so much for joining our virtual business luncheon today with Deuter. We're going to give it a few more seconds for all the participants to be able to join and to log in. I'm looking forward to that one. Well, and there we go. So thank you so much for joining our virtual business luncheon today with Deuter USA. In the background, and you might be used to it if you joined our business luncheons already, there is our amazing membership events team, Matthew and Franziska, that help and support with the technology. As usual, before we start, just some guidance for the business luncheons. All of the participants are going to be on mute. You will be able to ask your questions. To do so, just type your questions into the box or to raise your hands. And we're going to put you through after the presentation. I'm so very happy that today's business luncheon is hosted by our amazing friends and colleagues from the Colorado chapter. And in a few minutes, we're going to hand it over to William, to the Executive Director of the German American Chamber of Commerce of the Midwest. But before we do so, I would like to get this in. Dave, are you there from PKF Mueller? Dave, we will unmute you shortly. PKF Mueller is sponsoring the entire series, and thanks to you, Dave, and your amazing company for doing so, because without that support, we would not be able to run the entire series. So thank you so much. And Dave, I'm gonna hand it over to you now.
Well, thank you, Mario. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, thank you for allowing us to sponsor this. And you know, it's interesting. What I love about these series is I love how you guys come up with really intriguing titles. You know, backpack to industrial technology innovation, which is really, I can't wait till I hear about it actually. So I'm looking forward to hearing from Bill Hartranft. He's going to be our speaker today, talking to us about the interesting topics of going from outdoor adventures to the industrial technology innovation. And again, Mario, we appreciate the opportunity to be the sponsors for the GACC. You guys are a great group, and it does wonders for this membership. So thank you very much.
And thank you so much, Dave, for your kind words. And again, as always, thanks for your support. Without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to William now. And here we go.
Great. Yeah, thank you, Mario. And thank you, Dave, as well. My name is William Reed. I'm the Executive Director of the GACC Colorado chapter. We're very excited to be invited into the Business Luncheon series, especially with our new member, Deuter. Bill Hartranft is here with us. But before I introduce him, I do want to do a quick plug. Next week, we have the SME Forum, which is going to be on August 12th, starting at 10 a.m. Central Time. So we hope you can join us for that. Go to the GACC Midwest website, and you can get registered if you're not already. We're going to be talking about things like supporting business, cybersecurity, a lot of different topics that are really incredibly relevant for today. Yeah, and a few quick updates from the GACC Colorado. We are recently moving into a new location on Mississippi Avenue here in Denver. We are going to be joining the German Honorary Consul's office. So we're going to be all together, and it's going to be working out great for us, being able to be so close to each other. And we also just won an award earlier this week, which I would like to brag about. The Denver Chris Kindle Market was nominated and then won Best Festival on the Denver A-list. So we're very excited about coming back in 2020. It's going to be our 20th anniversary. Obviously with some changes, some updates with regard to making things safe for everybody, but we're still planning to be there. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce Bill Hartranft from Deuter. Bill, you are joining us from Longmont, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, it's very good to see you. As Dave was even mentioning, I'm very excited to hear what you've brought with us for us today regarding Deuter's expansion. Before we get started though, I want to do some quick polling of the audience. If we can pull up those poll questions, just to get a general feel for people's understanding of what's going on here today. Francisco, are you able to help us with those poll questions? Perfect. Okay, so the first question for the audience, have you heard of Deuter USA before today? And if you can select either yes or no, and then we'll put those poll results up in just a moment. Okay, closing that poll. And 60% of you said yes, you do know of Deuter. You may know them for their outdoor equipment, specifically backpacks. Some of you are going to be learning about Deuter for the first time today, which is very exciting. If we could go to the next poll question. All right, did you know that Deuter USA does more than just backpacks? I'll give you another couple seconds to answer that. Great, okay, so 25% of you did know that, but the majority of you did not, and you're going to be learning a lot about that today. Bill has quite a story in terms of what they've been able to do beyond just backpacks. So we'll move into our final question before we get started with Bill. All right, are you here to get useful insights on how to grow your business? Yes, you're here to get some valuable tips, or no, you're just interested in Deuter, learning a little bit more about their story. Okay, great. Yeah, so we're definitely going to be covering a lot of interesting tips in how to expand beyond just perhaps maybe your single product, but we're definitely going to be diving into that story with Deuter. Bill, maybe that's a great place to start. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and then kicking it off.
Sure. Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to be invited here to give a presentation, especially as a new member of the German American Chamber of Commerce. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to introduce Deuter to you. And I work as the direct sales person for Deuter USA. And as the title of this presentation indicates or suggests, I'm going to try to show you how Deuter, whose core business is primarily selling backpacks to the outdoor specialty market, branched out into and include non-outdoor customers and industrial clients, for our business.
Fantastic. So as you're pulling that presentation up, Bill, I just want to do one quick reminder for the audience. If you do have questions for Bill, I will provide those to him at the end of his presentation. If you could enter them in the question bar. I know there's a chat bar as well, but it'll be easier for us to organize it if you just put in that question area, and then we'll get those answered for you. But yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Great. Okay. Thanks. And I will see you all at the end of the presentation.
All right. I hope everybody can see my screen. The Deuter's expansion from outdoor adventures to industrial technology innovation. Could I just get a thumbs up on that?
Everything's
are
fine,
good to go.
We're good.
Perfect.
We can go ahead. Yeah.
Good. Okay. So let me go with a little background. So I'll begin with the ownership structure of our parent company, Schwann Stabilo. Founded back in 1855, they're located in Haraldsburg, which is just outside of Nuremberg. And their main business in the past has been writing instruments and then cosmetics. And then during the early 2000s, they began working on a diversification strategy. And in 2006, they purchased their first outdoor company, which is Deuter. And then over the next several years, they continued to acquire brands and adding up another 3, Ortovox, Meyer Sports, and Gonzo. So we make up the outdoor division of the Schwann Stabilo holding group. And then to Deuter, Germany. So Deuter was founded back in 1898 by Hans Deuter in Augsburg, who got his start making mail bags for the Royal Bavarian Post. And then over time, his business grew to include all kinds of bags and satchels, mostly for utility purposes, but eventually began making backpacks for recreational use. Now, I was living in Germany, got over there in 1990, and I got involved with Deuter back in 1994. That's where I got my start. And it was at this time that outdoor specialty business was really starting to grow. I was fortunate enough to get a job to run their export business. And I personally am an outdoor enthusiast, a gearhead at heart. And so this was a great fit for me. And Deuter was also going through a kind of renaissance in terms of new product design and becoming one of the hottest pack brands in Germany. Now, it didn't take long before Deuter was represented in all the countries in Europe and in Asia, and we worked through importer distributors. And then we had the big dream and goal that we wanted to become the #1 backpack, technical outdoor backpack worldwide. But there was a problem. If you want to be the biggest and most successful in that goal, you've also got to make your mark in the US. You have to become, the US is one of the biggest outdoor specialty markets in the world. And so you've got to establish yourself in that market if you want to claim to be #1. So our attempts to enter the US market through the importer distributor model that worked well in Europe and worked well in Asia just was not happening for the US. And we realized that we would have to establish a subsidiary, put our stake in the ground and build it up from there. And that's what we did. And we started that in 2001 and established our headquarters in Longmont, Colorado. And why Colorado? Well, as you can imagine, it's a mecca for outdoor sports and where many outdoor brands have also located their headquarters. So it was a natural fit. And Longmont is just north of Boulder, and we're only a 20-minute drive from the mountains. So we were fortunate to hire some good people in the beginning, and after several years, we were able to successfully establish Deuter as one of the top pack brands in the outdoor specialty market. So here I just want to show you a video, sort of get you in the mood and the groove of the outdoor spirit. It was filmed locally. We're fortunate enough here in the Rocky Mountains that even in the winter, you're able to go out and do multiple outdoor activities, even on the same day. So before I started, I have to apologize. There is no audio. So, and I have 2 more videos after this. So it's going to be a silent video, but I think you'll get still get some of the vibe as you watch this.
And Bill, this is Mario here, just throwing that in here also for our audience. You will be able to have the audio because we're going to share the links to those videos with the full audio after the presentation with the audience. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
Good. With this slide, I just want to emphasize the many different types of outdoor activities that we make backpacks for. And like it says in the slide, hiking, backpacking, climbing, skiing, kids packs, child carriers, bike packs, day packs, travel and accessories. And we have over 450 SKUs, and it's quite an assortment, quite a big range of product, and we think we do a good job of providing excellent quality and functionality for all of these categories. And in this slide, I just wanted to point out some of our top business partners. I think if you look to the right, most of you are quite aware of REI. And then the other three, Moose Jaw, Backcountry.com, In Wild, those are top online e-commerce retailers, and we enjoy doing business with them. And then here, I just wanted to also underline the fact that, you know, it took a lot of commitment and patience to finally achieve a top ranking here in the US market. And we are number 3 in this technical backpack category. And to do that in a highly competitive US market, I'm just really proud that we've arrived here and that we've been able to make our mark. And this is also recognized by all of our members in the community in the outdoor business. Okay, so Deuter manufacturing and sustainability. All of our backpacks are manufactured in Vietnam. We have an exclusive relationship since over 25 years with a company called Deuter Trading. They're Korean, and they have 3 factories in Vietnam, now with over 4,500 employees. And this relationship is really noteworthy because it's not just about achieving top quality, but we also have learned how to cooperate in innovation, idea sharing, and producing great product together. Now, on the sustainability side, we work together with organizations like Fairwear down there in the lower left-hand corner. They develop standards around the workplace safety, compensation, benefits, all of this labor oriented towards textile workers. And then Blue Sign, they focus, and this is also around textiles, focus on reducing harmful substances, you know, from the start to the finish of the supply chain. And then PFC, well, what is that? It's a chemical compound used to create water repellency on backpacks. And unfortunately, it is toxic for the environment. But Deuter has worked really hard with our suppliers to find a suitable alternative. And we became the first pack company to use a PFC-free water repellency across the whole assortment. And this is something too that was as recognized by our partners, REI, for example, who is an industry leader in sustainability practices. They're always impressed when a brand can come up and actually be a step ahead of them in the sustainability. And then this slide I was able to put in here on short notice. William had brought up the question to me during our conversation. So how is the factory dealing with the COVID crisis, and what kind of steps are being taken towards worker safety? So I was able to pull these pictures out of a report and place them in this slide. You'll see in the upper left, they're using thermal imaging camera at the gate. And then they take the temperatures, and if someone's running a fever or showing symptoms, they're sent home, paid time off for evaluation before they can come back, or they end up staying out if they are truly infected. The factory provides masks and hand sanitizer for the workers that you see in the upper right, middle, and right. And then in the lower left, the picture is, so here in the States, we're using plexiglass as a safety measure. Well, they're using cardboard to protect their workers at lunch in the canteen. And then in the middle there, that's just an announcement of regulations and instructions to the workers regarding the COVID-19. And then to the bottom right, it's a worker holding up his "I made your bag" sign. But what you probably can't see is they created, they now are using every other workstation to do the sewing at. So they are practicing their distancing. And then finally, the good news is the factory is COVID-free, and we hope that'll continue. Okay, so up till now in the presentation, I've been sharing with you about the core Deuter business, and now I want to move to the part of the story about the different channels of business that both actually Deuter Germany and Deuter USA have developed, and particularly in the areas of commercial and industrial uses. So Deuter Direct Sales is the name we use here in the States. Deuter Individual is the name they use in Germany to describe these additional channels of business. So here you see the name, some of the brands you already are familiar with, and these are ones that Deuter Individual works with. And so the next several slides that I'm going to show you will give you an idea of the variety of backpack and harness applications that work for other companies in different industries. So the first is co-branding opportunities. So in Germany, Deuter has long since sold backpacks to companies looking for gifts for employees, say around the holiday time, or to treat their clients with some kind of gift. And this is quite common here in the States as well. But and this is often accomplished by adding the client company's logo to the pack or bag. And in the lower right-hand corner, those are just some mock-up examples for the client to see, okay, here's where we can easily put your logo, and then proceed with development from there. Custom-made product. This is a more involved process than the co-branding, and especially when there's a collection involved with multiple different items. And it takes longer because there's more development, more prototype making, item creation, etc. To the left, you see a picture of Stöckli from Switzerland, their whole ski bag range. And then to the right, medical bags, and these are for emergency first responders. Okay, so here I'm going to introduce a story to you. It's We Carry Kevon, and I'm going to introduce this backpack child carrier adaptation that we did together with them. I'm sorry the audio doesn't work at this time for you, but I did write a transcript of what Kevin says in the video, and you will see him, Kevin Chandler, and it's about a trip that he took with his musician friends to Europe. Now, he has been wheelchair bound all his life, and to make it possible to get around sightseeing in Europe, his friends took a Deuter child carrier and retrofitted it so they could carry Kevon, especially to get around, some of the limitations of wheelchair access only points of interest. So let me get that started, and I will read his transcript. Oops.
I was born with a disease called spinal muscular atrophy.
So I was born with a disease called spinal muscular atrophy. I'm supposed to sit in a wheelchair, take supplements, and maybe work on a computer. But instead, I let a bunch of medically unqualified musicians put me in a backpack and carry me around the world.
Little quick input from me. Would you mute the video? Because we hear the sound. Can you mute the video?
And then plenty of
And there was a little wiggle room for our own adventures.
And yeah, it was bound to hurt.
And yeah, it was bound to hurt, but I'm alive.
And I've seen the world.
And got to see the world as we were all meant to see it.
Full of life.
Big and beautiful, full of life. Nothing was out of reach.
Nothing was out of reach.
So here we go. This is probably the most specialized project that Deuter has worked on, at least on the US side of things. And what happened in this trip was a success, and the story went viral. And Kevin and his friends received hundreds of requests about where can they get one of these backpack carriers. And Kevin contacted us, and we agreed to make a version, with properly reinforced frame and special features for the rider. And fortunately, we have some very talented designer product managers that work for Deuter, and they were able to develop the specialized solutions to make this backpack available to others like Kevin. Okay, carrying solutions. So this is about combining a backpack harness to, in this case, a commercial vacuum cleaner. And it's been a very successful solution for the cleaners using them. And GACC-CO is probably one of Deuter Germany's longest standing customers. And I even remember in my early days with Deuter that we were working together with them. And both companies have really enjoyed the mutual success from this type of collaboration. And I think it's interesting to note that in the last few years, the use of battery power has expanded rapidly, and it's been an obvious advantage for freedom from a power cord and easier access within tight quarters. And here's a US company doing the same thing with our harness system. And we've worked with them for many years. And actually, most of the harnesses that we import here for other clients, they're shipped here to the States, and then we reship them to the customer. In the case of Tornado, we have the harnesses which are manufactured in Vietnam, shipped directly to China, where they are assembled together with the vacuums in their own factory there. All right. And here's the last silent video. And, but it's one of my favorite because it explains better in pictures the benefits of the harness system better than I can in words. Let me play that one for you. Okay, and one more carrying system example. This is from ISCO, and the machine is used in concrete construction. So it's a battery-powered vibration device that helps concrete set more effectively, which improves its strength and integrity. And this model required actually a very heavy-duty frame to support the weight of this large battery. And here is a new project for Deuter in Germany, where they collaborate with German Bionic. They're out of Augsburg, and it's with using a specially adapted waist belt for this exoskeleton carrying system. Deuter also provides the back and leg padding, and together the whole system creates a great load transfer system, which is what this exoskeleton is designed to do. So I personally find the variety of applications very interesting, and the success that these collaborations lead to are very rewarding. So in this, we're almost at the end. Just wanted to tell you a little bit about the process, how the business is handled. And in the top row, you see this is about dual branding. And the steps are relatively easy and accomplished in a short period of time, usually 1 to 2 months, depending on quantity and availability of product. And we have a local embroidery print shop that we work with. Quality is very high. And this type of business is often used for, as I had indicated earlier, employee gifts, clients, promotional marketing purposes. So it's likely that, that might be a one-time only kind of job, but it can also lead into repeat business. And then the more involved process is the one below, custom-made product and carrying solutions. And in the US, we do not have product designers here at Deuter USA, so we depend on and work with the help of the team in Germany. The process can require several months depending on the complexity, the number of prototypes, the length of beta testing, etc. But the good news is that most of our custom-made projects have a longer commercial life, which is a great benefit for both parties. Production lead times can be 5 to 6 months with Asian manufacturing, and that also needs to be taken into account. And then as an example, the project that took the longest to complete was We Carry Kevon, and it was 18 plus months to get that done, but it's part of the special nature of that project. So in conclusion, I hope this was interesting for you to hear about the Deuter story, see how Deuter has grown from its core business out into other channels to use backpack features and technology. So with that, I'd like to say thank you very much for your time and attention.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bill. And yeah, everyone who is in the audience, if you want to take down Bill's information, I know he's also on LinkedIn, as am I, if anyone wants to get in touch with myself. I have so many comments and questions. I love these stories. I mean, obviously, one of the ones that sticks out the most to me is the story about Kevon. It's really interesting to think about how, I mean, Deuter already had a product for carrying, I think, for folks to carry their babies around, you mentioned. And it was actually a customer or a potential customer that saw the way that this could be retrofitted, as you explained, and they came to you, and you're able to create this brand new product that potentially other people are going to be able to use. And it really just makes you think about who is your main customer and who could be your customer. And that goes to the stories with CareSure as well, in terms of you're maybe originally thinking specifically with outdoors and hiking and things like that, but it's totally applicable to the cleaning industry or some other industries that you may not have been involved in to begin with at all. So I think it's fascinating. Maybe one of the first questions to start with, and just a reminder, if you do have a question in the audience, please enter that in the question poll bar. I think it's to the right of your screen in most cases. But yeah, can you just explain a little bit more about when Deuter, when and why Deuter expanded to the United States? Just a little bit more of that.
Yeah, well, it goes back to our goal, our overall goal to expand worldwide and become #1 technical backpack brand. And the U.S. market, being as important as it is, we couldn't just be successful in Europe and Asia. We needed to be successful in the States as well. And yeah, there's just so much potential over here. Also, being an American, you know, I was personally motivated to make Deuter successful because I believed in the brand, and I knew that we had, you know, good ideas. We had some cool features and innovation that was not yet introduced into the U.S. market, and that's where we got our foothold and we're able to grow from. So that's really the backstory and the motivation that brought us here to the States.
Well, it's also interesting to think about the quality of the product. I mean, even in conversations when Deuter first joined the chamber, I was speaking with Mario, and he was telling me a story about how he's had his Deuter backpack for something like 15 years. And it's really cool also that, thank you for sharing where it's manufactured and seeing the people who are actually responsible for putting these bags together. It's really cool, great to see. Yeah. So you mentioned in terms of getting started, so if I had an idea with that I wanted to work with you on, what would be the best way to get started with that? How does that process with Deuter work?
Well, just simply reaching out to us via email, saying you've got an idea, you'd like to present it and see if there's some way that we can collaborate together. And I would have to go back, William, and say that almost all of our projects, that's the way they started. That a company with an idea who had been looking for a specific solution found us and came to us and asked us for help.
Well, I mean, obviously, I do want to make a plug. It's really cool to see other GACC members mentioned in your presentation, like seeing Kersher, who's also based here in Colorado. It's really cool to see that collaboration.
Yeah, it is.
And Mario, I see that you've joined us. Did you have a question as well?
I just joined. Thank you so much for, you know, coming up with the story that I shared yesterday. It really was you know, for me, I was trying to trace back how long I had my backpack, and I, you know, was looking actually at since I didn't have a purchase receipt or what anymore, I was looking at old pictures when I was on vacation, so I could trace it back to 15 years. So that was amazing. We have William. We have the first questions from the audience in here. Do you see them on your screen? There is Barbara who has a question, and should I put Barbara through, William? Would that be okay right now?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
Okay, Barbara, you have the first question, and we're gonna just unmute you, so feel free to ask your question, Barbara.
All right. Hello, neighbor. I'm up here in Loveland. So I'm interested. I work with a lot of outdoor industry clients in the IT field, and they all report like crazy rising sales through COVID. And I was wondering how this impacted your business, because so many people are more interested in the outdoors.
Yeah. So the first few months, I would say what happened is, you know, almost a immediate reaction to it, and sales were dropping, and unfortunately right at the beginning of our peak season. So our retailers were either canceling orders or postponing delivery, and you know, that took a couple of months before we started seeing things begin to increase. And where we've always been really strong is with large backpacking packs. So the demand dropped substantially there. However, the smaller day packs for simple getting out and hiking, those sales began to increase. And then the other one that I guess kind of caught us off guard was with the child carriers. And it's, I guess, a lot of parents were looking at this as a way to get outdoors and still be safe and avoid, you know, groups and things like that. So that helped support the business, and fortunately, overall business is picking back up. We just finished the month of July, and we had sales way above July of last year. So hopefully it'll continue to recover that way.
Thanks, Bill. We have a few more questions in here. One is from Elizabeth. She asked me to just read hers aloud. She would like to know, what was the biggest challenge for Deuter when entering the U.S. market?
Well, being unknown to most Americans. You know, in Europe, Deuter already had a long-standing presence of sorts, and that was probably the first hurdle, because the outdoor specialty industry is a little bit of an insider industry. And so to break into that, like I said in my presentation, it took a lot of patience to do that. But where we broke into the market had to do with some of the innovation. We were the first company to bring in a backpack, particularly for hiking, with a ventilated back system. So, you know, and that brings the obvious benefits of less perspiration on your back. It allows you to, you know, hike longer, not be as exhausted, and also too, with if you're wearing a jacket that has a breathable membrane, then it allows that to function too. And that's sort of where we got our foot in the door. And then once the retailers began to see success there, then they began to open up and say, okay, I'll try this from Deuter, I'll try that from Deuter.
Thank you. Another question from Ted Likowski. He would also like me to read this for him. He was very interested in seeing what you were sharing with regards to COVID-19 and how he's asking, does Deuter have any plans to diversify manufacturing out of Vietnam to other countries, given to what's happened in manufacturing? And if so, where would you go? If not, what are the company's plans should COVID-19 strike Vietnam a little bit with a greater impact?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I wouldn't be able to give an official answer to that because I'm not in that part of the management. But I would say that they would first try to. Fortunately, Duke has 3 different factories: one in Ho Chi Minh, one in Cu Chi, and one down at the Mekong Delta. So with their size, they do, let's say something broke out in Ho Chi Minh, there's a very likely what they would do is move the manufacturing to the other 2 locations because they're quite a distance apart. So I would assume that would be their first step. And they would do that well before considering moving to a different country or to some other factors.
Maybe can you expand on that a little bit? What maybe are benefits of being in the one location?
Well, you mean with one manufacturer? Because there's 3 different locations. And yeah, traditionally, and I go back many years when I'm thinking about this, that most companies would work with 2 or 3 different suppliers with the idea, oh, I can spread my risk out, you know, in case fire burned a factory down, or that I can do price comparison. Those are probably the 2 biggest advantages by having that. But the disadvantages are you don't get priority treatment necessarily, and there was always let's just say, borrowing ideas from each other, from competing brands, because once a factory is set up, if it's going to make backpacks, they make backpacks for many different brands, or if it's clothing, for many different clothing companies, or sleeping bags, the same thing. So you get all this technology transfer, and if you had a really good original idea, you couldn't capitalize that, you know, in the marketplace before it was already, the idea was spread throughout the factory. So working with Duke as a single manufacturer, we kept that know-how in place. And yeah, in the beginning, it was just one factory, but now they're spread out, you know, with 3 locations. So the risk of if something happens in one factory, it doesn't deplete the manufacturing capability. They can move and expand at the other 2 locations. So we've got the risk thing kind of taken care of, and the big one being the keeping the know-how inside. And the, as I said, the relationship, the cooperation on product development has been really beneficial for Deuter to have that, you know, with them. So I would say those are the main reasons for working with one company.
It's great. Bill, William, thank you so much. And sorry for jumping in, but here is the thing. Since usually I moderate those, I just don't know how to type in a question, and I have a question. So
Sure, absolutely.
that's the perks of working with this technology, you know, and having an amazing team in the background taking care of that. Can I ask a question real quick, William, Bill?
Please, Mario, yeah.
Okay for you? Okay.
Absolutely.
Bill, there is 2 quotes that you mentioned in your presentation that just stick in here. The first one is, we realized that we had to establish a subsidiary in order to be successful here in the States. And the other one was, it took a lot of commitment and patience to get there. I think with those 2 sentences, you just perfectly described the secret ingredients for, you know, being successful here in the United States. Now, my question is business related. What is the relationship between you as a subsidiary here in the States and your, let's say, mothership in Germany? There is different things, you know, some of the German, you know, headquarters keep their subsidiaries on a very short leash, with decision-making processes being done over there in Germany. Can be good or bad, I'm not judging here, but what's the situation in your case?
So in the beginning, when we started out, it was much more independent in terms of making decisions, let's say, around the ERP system, and which is a big one, right? And then being very small, just a lot of flexibility around getting different design products, because I was on the German side at that time, and I was helping the US if they needed any special needs. I could make that happen for them on a product standpoint, whether that meant different colorways, or, you know, some tweaks and different design changes, that kind of thing. Now, as Deuter continued to grow internationally overall, and, you know, the years go on, then they began, and where we are today, it's more of a global solution, if you will. We are working on the same ERP system as they do in Germany. We have all the IT support from them, and we're working in terms of communicating more to them if we have any special needs for the US. So we need to collaborate with their product managers there to get that done. Let's see. I think those would be the main differences. You know, of course, in the beginning, we had a lot of financial support from the mothership. I mean, that was necessary to get us through those years of red bottom line to get into the black. And there, I'm just so thankful that Deuter had the patience to do that. And, you know, after we started making a good positive bottom line, we could reinvest and grow ourselves.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, the biggest thing that I'm getting out of all of this is access. In the story from how Deuter came from Germany to the United States and helped support you, but even in the products that you create, it's giving people access to the outdoors, or it's giving them access to even tight spaces in airplanes where they can now vacuum easier, or it's giving people access in a way that to access environments like all of Europe, whether it's in a city or in the mountains. They now have access in a way that they didn't before. So I think it's a really cool story. So thank you so much, Bill, for being here to share that with us.
Yes, you're very welcome, and I'm very grateful for getting the opportunity to present the story of Deuter.
Absolutely, great. Well, again, I think we're coming up to the end of the hour here. Unless there's any more questions, I want to just thank you again, Bill, and thank you, GACC Midwest, for having us today. We're very excited to show off one of our members and their stories here in Colorado. Yeah, and we're very excited again next week for the SME Forum. So very much looking forward to seeing you guys there.
Okay.
Awesome. And also from me, Bill and William, thank you so much for hosting today's business luncheon. That was amazing. Amazing stories out of Colorado. I'll just love it.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. And yeah, I'm a proud member of the German American Chamber of Commerce. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thanks a lot.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.